Good morning and welcome to the International Buddhist Meditation Center. This morning we're going to meditate few minutes. After the meditation, we have Dhamma talk. So right now, Venerable Kongala Panya Loka is going to lead loving kindness meditation. Before that, I just want to say a few words. Yesterday there are one group of the members, they come to the temple and they clean front and backyard both. Especially I want to say thanks for the Stephanie and Paul and Mr. Nam and some our monks also, of course, they also work. We just planning to do meditation in the backyard under the Bodhi tree, but it was a little bit cooler. So we decided to postpone. Maybe some other days we can do the 10 o'clock meditation under the Bodhi tree. So I just want to say thanks again for everybody who have participated yesterday, and somebody provide for us food also, food, drinks, and all kind of equipment, whatever we need, everything somebody supplies. So thank you so much for everybody. So right now, Panyaloka, you can start your meditation.
Now we are going to practice the loving kindness meditation. Take your time to relax yourself. Relax your eyes, relax your legs. Whatever the position you are seated, relax yourself. Take a deep breath a few times. Close your eyes only if you are comfortable. There could be many distractions, whatever they are. We are going to spread loving kindness thoughts to the whole universe, beginning yourself. You can practice loving kindness thoughts following the IBMC chanting book, the page 11. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me, may no difficulties come to me, may no problems come to me. May I always find fulfillment. May I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Like this, you can practice loving kindness thoughts and spread those loving kindness thoughts to yourself. You can also spread loving kindness thoughts to your family members, friends, relatives, and all beings in the universe. May my teachers, all Dharma teachers, parents, brothers and sisters, friends, relatives, my enemies, all beings in the universe, be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them, may no difficulties come to them, may no problems come to them, may they always find fulfillment. May they also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May all beings in the universe be well, happy, and peaceful. Like this, you can practice and spread loving kindness thoughts beginning from yourself to the whole universe. Now we are going to practice the silent meditation. When you hear the bell, you can stop your silent meditation.
to Reverend Panyaloka leading the loving kindness meditation. Right now, time for the Dhamma talk. Our speaker is Dr. Sai Maharjan. Welcome. And I want to say a few words. He's teaching here almost more than 10 years. So every month, second Sunday, he's giving Dhamma talk. People very much like you, sir. And he's here today with his friend.
Saranankara.
Yes.
Nepal.
Nepali Saranankara. Please come here and sit here. He also visiting these days from Nepal to here. Actually, I believe he was here one time in somewhere. He was in Sri Lanka also. He studied Sri Lanka also. He's a friend of Vinita also. So everybody know Vinita's. And so Vinita, Reverend Saranankara, they all went to Sri Lanka same time to study. So, Bante, you welcome to International Buddhist Meditation Center. Sai, you can start your Dhamma talk right now.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Bante Santi and Venerable Bantes and dear friends in Dhamma. I hope you had a lovely morning. You have to tell me, what should I talk about? Or we just smile at each other. So I remember last time when we met, I talked about one of the important suttas. And when you think about going to temple, spending some valuable time at a temple, I believe that we are trying to refine our mind, our action, right, and also improve our life as a human being. And one thing that I have seen that comes into conflict is our sense of self, and a little more stronger term would be our ego, right? We tend to feed our ego, and the Buddha advised, he advised on many things, and one of the prominent things that he reminded all of his students and followers is that be aware of misbelief, having a wrong view, right? The fear of wrong view, because it doesn't matter what school of Buddhism you follow, we try to share and also practice this right direction, or I like in Pali we call samma ditti, that's the Pali term for right view. Samma ditti is, samma is not just a right, it's more ethically correct direction. It's not right or wrong, it's not dichotomous, it's more like ethically correct form of practice. And when we don't have that, just like if you think of an example, we develop a sense of self that has almost, we feed that sense of self through our experiences. So it's built through our experiences. Imagine if you have a pet, and if you want to do a little experiment, here's one for you. So especially if you have a dog, okay? So if you put a dog in front of a mirror, what do you think will happen? If you have done it, so you know. If you didn't smile, that means you have not done yet, and you should try. If you put a dog in front of a mirror, and dog will have an impression, there is another dog right in front of it, right? And typical reaction would be, they will bark, they will go bananas, right? They try to attack because not knowing it's actually its own reflection. Now, that happens to humans too, up until I think, if you look at the developmental psychology, humans babies do not understand their own reflection for a few months, not so long. And eventually they will understand it's their own reflection, they react differently. So the dog, if you put a dog in front of a mirror, it will bark because it assumes there's another dog. It's kind of a territorial. And now the funny thing is, not just like when it sees the reflection, you take the dog away, do you think dog will stop barking? What do you imagine? What would you think will happen? You can answer. This is not one-way discussion, one-way talk. You can tell me if you have a thought. So if you take the dog away from the mirror, do you think dog will stop barking right away? Yes. Some of you say yes. I'd say more no's. So I'll go with no's, right? Why do you think dog still keeps barking at least like a lingering, when we're upset, we say things loud, and eventually we keep saying a little bit under our breath, just like that, right? Dog continued to bark a little bit more, even it was removed from the mirror. Because in its mind, the dog's mind, the dog is still there. That's a misperception, right? The dog does not understand once you take the object away from the mirror, the reflection doesn't stay there anymore. Now, the dog keeps barking because it believes, not just it perceives, it believes the reflection dog or the imagined dog is still there, trying to get rid of it. Now, that's what happens with humans when you think of self. The misperception of self is just like the dog barking to its own reflection, thinking it's still there. Now, how does it come to be? That's what I want to talk to you. Say it's a very simple concept. That's a reflection of the dog. And the concept of self in us, how it come to be. Because how does that dog reflection come to be? If you just simplify, it's not a tricky question. The reflection come to be because of its own body. The dog was there, that's why there is a reflection. So if you don't put an actual dog, you would not have a reflection of dog. Now, our sense of self come to be because of our own presence. So the reflection did not exist before your presence. Do I have you? Are you with me? Right? So the reflection come to be because of us. It didn't exist before. At least I think we agree with that part, right? It come to be because of us. And if you believe it still exists there, that's a problem. Because it itself happened to be there because of us. When you remove yourself, it can't be there. It wasn't there either. So the idea of self, which also feeds our ego, comes from our own sense of experience, what we go through. And so that's where now, if you go back 2,000 years back, or even now, if you look at people, those who try to understand how human come to be, or try to understand ourselves, that's the biggest challenge, is because this sense of self and who we are as a person. And I want to talk more from like a Buddhist perspective, right? We come to be, and in Buddhism, we consider human as a made of, or as a collection of these 5 aggregates. There's 5 bundles, so to speak. And they are, in Pali, we call Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana. So you might have heard these terms in many other versions. Rupa is a material form, the physical body. Let's keep it simple. It's more than that, but to keep it simple, Rupa is the physical body. There are a group of people who said, Anyang Sarirang, Anyang Jiwang. So there's a group of people who believe the sense of self and the body is separate. So they believe in there is no such thing as mind. Only thing that exists is what you see, which is physical body. That's a one type of school thought, one type of philosophy. In Pali we call Uchedavada or Bhautikavada. So they believe in materialism. The only material thing exists because non-material things are hard to perceive. So they believe that, and if you have that idea, it's very easy for those people. Now you live very close to Hollywood, right? I know when I said that, you come to your mind. It's the whole purpose of life would be, Bante and I had a long discussion in the car ride. There is karma, and bhoga. So kama is like it's the whole purpose of materialistic world is to entertain your senses. And it's not just Hollywood. There were time in the Buddha's time and before him, the group of people who lived in this idea, this world only exists once. You're born as a human, you're just born once. Yada jivit, sukhang jivit. So have fun. Entertain your senses as much as you can, because even you have to take some debt, do it so you can enjoy. And once you're dead, you don't know you will ever come back. So enjoy this life. So that's a materialistic view. It's a wrong view, because that leads to perhaps doing a lot of things that's harmful to self and others. That's a dangerous view, when you only believe this physical form is true. There's another group of people who reject that idea and who they believe like tang jiwang tang sariram. So we have this concept of self that is who identify just like the dogs are the reflection, and they believe that one of our other senses should be the base for ourself. And our first one is rupa, that's what we talk about, physical form, and the other one is vedana, the term for sort of sensation. Now, people believe that that's what makes self. That's what makes us, right? If you think of in more practical sense, I'm sure we identify with different background. I'm from Nepal, Bante is from Nepal, this Bante is from Sri Lanka, so is that Bante. And when you think of different background, all of our experiences, at least the sensations, has some identity, right? Have you tried Sri Lankan food? Nobody? Okay, everybody should try today at least. So if you have tried Sri Lankan food, you know, if it is spicy, oh, that's our food. You heard that, right? If it is mild and mellow, it's not Asian version, it's a more Western food. And some people might call American food. So we have this labeling based on our sensation. So it's not just like a philosophical idea, it's actual thing that we do and we identify with it. That's a little crazy, right? So we develop sense of identity through our sensation. And sometimes it's pleasant, right? And there's an unpleasant part. We still consider that is Asian pain. I don't think so, huh? Pain is pain, okay. So there are pleasant and unpleasant sensation. We develop identity to it. But what we forget is you cannot have sensation without other factors, such as you need to have perception. So that's the third one that most people identify as self. So the third term in Pali is sanya. Sanya is perception. And there's school in Buddhism who believe in pure perception. Now you cannot have perception without sensation. You have to have some kind of contact. Now it goes further back. You have to have physical body to have contact. You cannot have physical body and then expect some kind of a sensation. How could you taste any cuisine if you tend to have a body, right? I can tell you all kinds of things about food, but you've got to try it to feel what it tastes like. So you need physical body in order to feel. And without feeling, you cannot have perception. You can imagine, but it's not perception. You have to have some kind of contact to have perception. And that perception develops memories. It becomes now similar to what we talk about food. It could also lead to like what we believe as culture, what we believe as you, right? Your memories, your childhood, probably pleasant or unpleasant experience, early childhood, you have perceived them. And it's not the same. There's a good example to think of, because perceptions are not very reliable things. If you walk into a room, it's dark, and let's say, give you a little background, you have a fear of snake, right? You have a little bit of phobia for snakes. You walk into a room and you saw a piece of robe, but you thought that was snake. How would you react? Even you kind of knew it can't be a snake in a dark, closed room, you would freak out because perception can misguide you, right? So the perception is always based on what you see. It doesn't come out of blue, and that can be misleading. So that's what we develop. I am scared of snake. So we develop this perception of self based on what we experience. Now, that's another one. All this happens because we're able to cognize what we experience. That's the fourth one. In this fifth one in the category, it's called Vijnana. Vijnana is consciousness. Now, a lot of people think that is self. Now, we all have different level of experience. Vijnana, the consciousness, what it does is it cognizes what you see. It cognizes what is received through our senses. You see a piece of flower and you perceive that as flower, and your mind recognizes it is a flower. Now, liking, disliking happens little later, not right away. Now, I'm talking about this process of mind, which is fastest thing in the world. It's hard to slow down and show you, but we immediately like, dislike, or just like have a neutral feeling. It's already happened. So this vijnana or consciousness is believed to be self. Now, it's not, because it relies on something else. The reason I'm telling you this is because where do you find self now? So if we are made of these 5 aggregates, physical form cannot exist without these 4 other mental processes. And you look at this each mental processes, there is no way you will find the idea of self. And what we believe in self is manifestation of these 5 aggregates. They interact each other and it starts building. Now, I don't want to go back, but you think of like, how you look. And I see you have curly hair, you have slightly curly hair, but this have no hair. So physical appearance gives some kind of identity. And we identify, oh, such and such looking person, such and such complexity in the skin makes such and such person. And then you go with the rest of the experience and you start feeding, just like we believe in Santa. Now, some of you, I'm sorry if I challenged you, but we were told so many stories. When Christmas hits, you see so many evidence for Santa, right? Then we believe there is such thing called Santa. Now, that's what happened to our identity. We developed this idea of me, myself, because we've been told. Our senses told us all the time, hey, this is Sailesh, this is Sai. And all the things done, and I just added one more, didn't I, Bhante? I got a doctor, so, okay, Sailesh is a doctorate student or doctorate person. So we keep adding more to that idea of self, and that's what becomes our ego. And in Buddhism, ego is the worst enemy. Now, I heard when I walked in, so just to come back to why it is a challenge when we use these senses to develop strong concept of self. It can be problematic in this life. It can be problematic life after. It becomes problematic in this life because to look at the social situations, we get into conflict because of this. We have developed I, me, myself, and we get into clash with another I, me, and self. We cannot agree to terms. We cannot agree to things. In a larger scale, you see the 2 parties, Republican versus Democrats. You see in a smaller scale, like a more macro level, like a husband versus wife, worker versus employer. There's a clash because of this self-developed idea of self. We feed that. We keep feeding that lead to conflict. Try to practice loving kindness, try to be compassionate. We are not impartial. That's one thing I really, really wish that we can share with the world from the Buddha's teaching. His teaching, especially this loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and the mudita, help me, empathetic joy. Those 4 are such a easy, not easy, but such a beautiful terms that we should be cultivating nowadays, because there's so much division, so much partiality rather than impartiality. We divide you versus us, and we use such a superficial ideas to divide people, right? The look, the appearance, the height, the wealth, the socioeconomic status, and we continue to feed more of this idea of self rather than come together and unite. So I hope my attempt was, telling you not necessarily go beyond, but there's more we can talk about. Why this no self is such an important lesson. It's more so like we don't need to discriminate others based on this reflection of our own imagination. Just like if you were to do that, is we're barking at our own reflection, thinking that's another being, and we continue to bark beyond, thinking that it's still there. And I'll end with a little story that I heard. This happened when I was in here. This person came to me and shared a very sad story. It's sort of a regretful story. This person came to me and told me that he had a cousin who, I wouldn't tell the background, but he had a cousin that they really were in conflict. This is about 17 years back. They were in conflict for such a long time. And they left the country, they moved to the United States, this happened. And this person who talked to me, let's say Sam, I'm going to name him Sam, right? He continued to continued to hate this person, let's say Joe, in his country. He continued to hate for 17 years and continued to have the same, strong feelings, hatred and anger toward that person. And he came to me and he told that he didn't know Joe died 12 years ago. 12 years ago, Joe died. This incident happened 17 years ago. So the person lived and Joe died 12 years ago, and Sam continued to hate Joe for 17 years. It's that bad. So our hatred should be, satisfied or perished when the person that you hate is not there anymore. But the person continued to imagine the dog is still there and kept barking with the reflection that he himself created. So that's why Buddha warned us very, very much, be careful with hatred, because it goes beyond this life. Not just 12 years, it goes beyond this life. And that all goes back to how we develop, this is me, you should not hurt me. And when you say you should not hurt me, it's not about physical hurt. It's more like a psychological, it's more like our imagined ego that gets bruised. And that makes it very hard to practice any of these teaching. So hopefully I was able to tell you, it's important that we understand what we consider ourselves as, develop this idea of self, and take it easy. Take it easy, and if you get a chance, let go. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. If you have any question, any comment, you can ask. We have a little time.
Sai, it's funny you brought up the whole Santa Claus thing. Years ago, I gave a talk called Not Self and Santa Claus. So we both have similar minds thinking about that. There's a lot of evidence that Santa Claus exists. And so we all
That's
believe
right.
Santa Claus exists, especially when we're young.
That's right, that's right.
And then we have to find out, oh, well, maybe not.
I know, that's our challenge. But do I have time?
Yes.
Okay, I want to play a game. So, see, that's what happens. I'm a father to 5-year-olds, so all I think about is games. Okay, I'll give you a set of number, and I'll tell you why I did this in a minute, but I want you to play along, okay? Here are 3 numbers, and bear in mind, these 3 numbers follow a rule. Simple rule, very simple. I'm not a math genius. I'm just follow a rule, but I'm not going to tell you what the rule is. You have to propose your 3 numbers, and then when I say follows the rule, guess what that rule is. And you're welcome to make any guesses. So 2 steps, right? Propose your number, and I'll tell you whether it follows the rule or not, and then you can guess what the rule is that's in my mind. Clear? Okay, here are the numbers. 2, 4, 6. That's my number I'm giving you. Now you're welcome to propose your numbers, and I'll tell you whether they follow the rule or not, then you can propose your rule. Let's start with John.
8, 10, 12.
Follows the rule?
The rule, I think, is
That is not the rule. Okay, let's see. Shraddha
135.
follows the rule,
Odd even.
not the rule. Russell
I forgot the original number.
246. 246.
246?
Yes.
What do I do?
So you can propose your numbers because the 246 follows a rule that's in my mind, that's in my head. And you propose your number and then try to get the rule that I have in my mind.
I have run that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
47, 49, 51.
Follows the rule.
1, 2, 3.
Follows the rule. But what's the rule? Remind me your name, sir?
Paul?
Paul. Yes, Paul. What's the rule?
There's more
But,
information
so-
now, and
That's why it's Subodhi.
I mean, your rule just might be numbers. Like, just say numbers.
Partially right, but not the rule.
Only the numbers?
13, 7, 2 doesn't follow the rule. Very good. We're getting somewhere now.
oh,
Doesn't follow the rule. What's the rule?
Sequence in order?
That's right. The number that's incrementally increasing. So it could be 1,000 and 1,001. Doesn't matter. It just keeps increasing in value or 1, 1.1, 1.5. That still follows the rule. So you fell for it. That's called confirmation bias. Even Russell asked, what's the original number, right? So when I gave you 246, you don't want to be wrong. You want to be right. So all the 4 examples I got, they are correct. And that's how human nature. We don't want to be wrong. We want to be right. We want to prove what we know is true. That's the confirmation bias. And what's your name? Tiffany, she violated the rule. She wanted to be wrong. Because when you try to find the truth, you can't just search for what you already believe is true. You will find it. That's what happens with Santa. If you look for evidence that Santa exists, you cannot be wrong, especially in the United States. If you go to some random country, it might be challenging. But if you keep looking for evidence, what you believe is true, in our case, Santa, you will find an abundance of examples to prove that you are right. And it's easy. But you have to look for evidence Santa doesn't exist. In science, we call falsification, right? You try to prove yourself wrong to find the truth. If you keep looking for evidence that proves you're right, that's very easy. Yes, Paul.
I love where you've gone. It's just so beautiful. There was conversation going on yesterday. There's always a very difficult chore to try to discern bias. When bias is, it seems positive, acceptable, and a good thing. In the following way, the question was, what can you work on where you're having the tendency to want to control people? And so I was looking at my whole life and questioning it all. And I go, helping people. What can I do to help people other than myself, my practice, all this other things? How much can I help? And that's the idea of getting out there and controlling.
Yeah.
But it's acceptable because the bias is that that's a good thing. We want to help people. We're going to help people. We're going to do this. And we may not realize we're deluded by the sensation of wanting to control a situation, control others, and control outcomes.
Yeah.
So your talk is beautiful today.
Thank you,
Got me
Paul.
excited.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, Tiffany.
My rule in my head was I just want to choose the numbers I like.
Oh, okay.
Like,
You should have hold off on that. But that's good. Which is still good, right? Instead of trying to be right with the rule, the numbers I gave, 2, 4, 6. Yeah.
To create a rule, right?
You're supposed to propose
Oh, okay.
what's the rule in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, comments, questions, objections? Yes. Remind me your name.
Gabriella,
Gabriella. Yes, Gabriella.
how do you find balance amongst uncertainty?
Good question. Focus on yourself to some extent, right? And I'm not sure the background, the context, what you mean by uncertainty. Like, do you want to give me the context, or do you want me to take in my own?
Well,
It could be unemployment, and it could be what's happening now, right?
sort of everything.
Yeah. So basically the current administration, right? That's full of uncertainty, a lot of changes. And one very good advice from Buddhism would be impermanence. So if you think of, people think impermanence is such a pessimistic term. That's the label that Buddhism received, because you guys always talk about dukkha, suffering, and impermanence, suffering, then again, no self. But people forget to go beyond that. So impermanence applies to bad things and good things. For example, I like to think of, like, imagine you have endless supply of beautiful day. That's not good. People will get bored of it. So there should be good days and bad days. And same thing with the uncertainties, right? And what's happening. I tell you my example. I'll tell you my story. I just got my doctorate. I'm in big uncertainty, right? Do I want to continue with my current position? I'm teaching. I'm a professor. Do I want to go for a more different role, right? That comes with a lot of responsibilities. That will stress me out. I might need to relocate. There's uncertainty there. I might not have a stable job. That's uncertain. But with impermanence, these uncertain times have expiration dates. They are not bound, they're not meant to be there forever. They will, and if that doesn't change, we change. So if event doesn't change, we change. That's how we are. Humans are adaptive, and what you hated 5 years back, it could be a person or a thing, you don't have the same perception now. You might like that person. You might like that experience 5 years now. And that is the same story for 5 years from now. So that impermanent. Yes.
Hi,
What's your name?
Aldrin.
Aldrin? Yes, Aldrin.
I'm new here. This is my first time.
Okay, welcome. Welcome to the center.
But I visited this place because I read a book that mentions this place, The Science of Enlightenment by Shinzen Young.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said he lived here for several years. I don't know. But I just wanted to know if you guys offer any trainings, like meditation trainings here.
Yeah, I'll relate that to. I'll relate that to Subodhi and Bante.
Yes, we do have a meditation every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10:40 a.m. every Sunday here. That's the right now we do have, plus Sunday service. And you're talking about Sing Sing Young, who used to live here, I believe 1970s, 80s, maximum 10 years. Then he moved from here to another place which is called the Community Meditation Center, few blocks away. That center also no more. I don't know where he is right now. I think possibly he's very old, maybe 80s. I'm not sure. Yes, I met few times here. He used to come here when I was here. I mean, around 90s sometime, but I don't know where he's right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are getting to chanting right now. I want to share a little bit story, but I don't want regarding about the dogs and mirror. Well, I think I better share that one. Not the dog, the monkey and mirror. When we are in Sri Lanka, somewhere in our temple in mountain area, jungle area, there are a lot of monkeys. We keep the mirror outside and we keep some food also. Basically, they are coming to the temple for the, puja time. At 11 o'clock when they're ringing the bell, they know.
They're conditioned, yeah.
Yes, they come to temple and sometimes they steal the whatever we offer to Buddha. So we keep the big mirror. When we are little, I was almost like 15, 16 years old. We all the monks, couple of monks, and we don't have big mirror. So the big mirror is the Lokohamdro's room, the high priest's room, So we have to take that mirror and keep near the somewhere in shrine hall. So we steal the mirror. I mean, without permission, we took the mirror and we keep somewhere outside. And we are looking what happening with the monkeys. They come and they go other side and looking, they try to, beat or whatever, so many things. Finally, what happened, they break the mirror. They break the mirror and they took the piece. Couple of monkeys took the piece and they ran away. So we have a big trouble with our teacher. So he's wondering what happened to the mirror. So we explained what happened, everything. So he said, okay. And we have just fun. I just want to share this story. All right, so we will chant the page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato
Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Living passions are inexhaustible. I vow to bring them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to serve them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fellows be. May the reading shall green, and the sick find help relief. Thank you again for everybody. I think we have tea and cookies. So next Sunday, Subodha is going to give a Dhamma talk. Please come and join. Of course, next Sunday also 10 o'clock we have meditation. Please come and join. Thank you, Sai, again. Thank you, Venerable Sarnankara, being with us today. Thank you for everybody. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu.